you may not look like a winning team, but you are one. So start playing like one. The Guardians didn't do that on Tuesday night, unfortunately. Once again, the Guardians actually had a good offensive night. The bullpen was fine. The defense wasn't great. They didn't run the bases well, and their starting pitching stunk again. So another night where the team just could not put all facets of the game together. Are the Guardians a good team?
No.
It's almost June. We're going to have a good philosophical debate on if the Guardians are a good team, where they're headed, why they've headed in this direction. More rotation debate, of course, because that's what everyone loves right now. And we're going to get to that Amed stat that sucked from yesterday that we didn't get to because everyone's excited about that. This is Locked On Guardians.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Locked On Guardians. Today's episode is brought to you by Bird Dogs. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnMLB and enter the promo code LockedOnMLB. You'll throw in a free custom Bird Dogs Yeti-style tumbler with every order. I want to pull back the curtain, metaphorically and I guess like virtually. Justin and I had a good debate before getting on air, and I think outside of probably my wife, maybe even more than my wife, Justin has turned into the person I talk to the most just by the nature of this show. We spend an hour, 5 days a week talking. And then we also do the pre and post. So about 2 hours of my day spent with Justin. And, you know, we've talked about how we never really get into things. Today might have been our most heated debate of the year. If not, it was definitely in our top 2 to 3. And we'll focus in on that. I realized I did the wrong opening because I forgot what day it is. And I do want to also now go back in and say that it is not Tuesday, even though it felt like a Tuesday, that this show will be Wednesday. So go to FanDuel.com for that. But to pull back,
do love Bird Dogs.
We do love Bird Dogs. I'll be sporting those at Field Day on Friday.
Nice.
Perfect for that. But yeah, we love FanDuel as well. FanDuel.com/LockedOnMLB. But yeah, no, this team is just infuriating, and it's making me not want to be on Twitter, and it's making me not want to get into debates because. On a very basic level, like a year ago at this time, everyone was like, Cal Quantrill, his metrics are, maybe he's the guy that metrics don't matter to. It's like, he's probably overperforming a little. Let's not race it. And right now he's underperforming a little. But the baseball is the sport that you can't knee-jerk react to. And when your team is this frustrating, like if they were just terrible all the time, we'd just be giving up and talking about the fantastic draft that is coming in next year. Yeah. Brody Brecht, Jack Caglione, Nick Kurtz. You know, we could go for days. But
Kurt for Kurtz.
Just don't look at the recent history of college first baseman. It's it'll make you hurt. But instead, this team keeps making us feel like, hey, they won 3 out of 4. And listen, today's game was one they were probably going to lose. Like, this was not a good matchup. This was the worst matchup on paper for them in these last 2 games.
Sometimes that doesn't matter either, though.
No, I know it doesn't. But I'm just saying, like, then we just come in, and the way this one gets lost, the offense performs. Everyone reaches base except for Stephen Kwan. Multi-hit games by Brennan and Straw. And Andres, like guys we're really hoping can turn it around, because I was pulling some stats before this game for Justin. It's like we're going to get in the starting pitching, but there are 13 teams that have hit more home runs in May than Cleveland has hit all year. Cleveland is now officially has the worst on-base percentage in baseball. They have the worst batting average in baseball. They have the worst OPS in baseball. You know, Justin talked about yesterday. It was a great call. They entered May leading the league in stolen bases. They are the second worst team in stolen bases this month. They're not even trying, and it just... You're looking for answers everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, less opportunities, but they're not even trying. 13 attempts. I mean, they're doing less than 1 every 2 games. You can do better. They can do better. They're just...
I can't do better. They can't.
And you could try. It depends.
I would be thrown out.
Is Zanino catching? You might have a chance. I'm sorry.
I'd be thrown out between first and second. The ball would already... It would throw around the horn before I get there.
But still, it's like... It's frustrating when you have a day like today where it's like, hey, the offense worked. And then let's leave Quantrill out to dry, and he ends up giving up 8 in one of his worst starts of his career. But again, I want to talk about the fact that this is a guy who was worth nearly I think over 2 WAR last year, over 3 WAR the year before that. We need to be more. This isn't a Zach Plesac who keeps doing dumb things. This isn't a Aaron Civale who is made of toothpicks and
super glue.
I was to say hot glue. That was what I couldn't think of the word there. Hot and glue, very hard words to remember. But
it is the end of your teaching year, so it's understandable.
Yeah, it is. It's the thing with Quantrill too is we talked about this before. It's like we know they're trading Bieber in the next calendar year.
Less than a calendar year. Yeah.
Yes, that's not before the
by next January at the latest. Yeah.
Yes, he'll be gone. So yes, the rookies are great, but as we've learned this year, no one is guaranteed every year. Like sophomore slumps happen. This entire team is having a sophomore slump.
Regression period just happens.
Regression happens. Teams get to see you. They get more tape on you. Yes, they have tape of you on the minors, but it's different when they have tape of you facing major league caliber player. And you need some stabilizing forces. Aaron Civale, again, he is made of tinker toys. He can't be the stabilizing presence in your rotation. Zach Plesac has never been described as a stabilizing presence in any single way.
We hope McKenzie will be, but he's only done it once.
And he's had a lot of injuries, through his career.
Year, right.
This is not the first year that he's missed months of time with an injury. So one thing you can say about Cal Quantrill is that guy has been pretty much made of concrete. Unfortunately, his fastball moves like it's made of concrete right now, but
wouldn't that be good when you get a lot of ground balls? If it was made of concrete, it'd be hard to lift.
Because it's just not moving. It's just boom. And that's the thing. Like right now, one of the big issues with this pitching staff is he's at the low. His K rate has gone down every year the last 3 years, and right now I think his K rate from last year is like Bieber's K rate this year. They're just struggling.
Yeah, they are. I mean, he is struggling. His last 2 starts haven't been good. What did I say? He's had like a quality start.
5 quality starts in 11.
And let's be honest about who Cal Quantrill is, too. He is your 5th starter. Like last year, like you said, there people were like, oh, he looks like he's a guy who outperformed his metrics. And right now he is, like you said, pitching below his metrics. And he's been working on that splitter. He's been working on throwing other pitches. It just wasn't his night. I know people are going to overreact to the bad start and say, well,
cut the bomb. Trade him.
McKenzie pitched Tuesday, so Quantrill's gone. I legitimately do not know what they're going to do in the rotation. I know people had said, like, Tito had the comments about how, Bybee and Allen have earned their spots in the rotation. And I guarantee he's being truthful saying that, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Yeah. They've said guys have earned spot. Like Tyler Freeman, he has said, has earned more playing time.
And he hasn't gotten it. Right. So, you know, that's him being a player's manager, saying the right thing. Obviously, doing the right thing matters more. And, you know, it would be short-sighted to send one of these 2 guys down long-term because you need all the good pitching you can get with this offense. And tonight, of course, the offense did claw its way back finally, and there was too much to overcome this time. But you need innings eaters. I mean, if you're honest about Cal's role on this team, he is a 5th starter. He is an innings eater. Like you said, he's a guy who can post you 5 or 6 innings, a quality start most times through the rotation. You know, he's going to have a 4 ERA or a high 3s if you're lucky, maybe a low 4s. He's not going to strike guys out. Yeah, he's going to have a blow up every now and then, but Cal Quantrill would be a starter on every team in the league. Like, what rotation out there are you looking at? You tell me, okay, Cal Quantrill could not start on this team. The Mariners? I mean, I
was going to say Seattle's maybe the team that came to
with Robbie Ray being hurt, maybe not. Like, I know they brought up a couple of rookies, but like would he be Oakland's like 2nd best pitcher right now?
Oakland's the only team in baseball who's because I was looking at this, has a negative WAR for their starting pitching staff this year.
Their pitching is god awful. I mean, I guarantee the Astros would take him right now because they've had some injuries. The Angels would take him in a heartbeat. And if you're saying, trade the guy, I don't think that's a good solution either, because number one, these trades are not happening on May 31st. No. They're not happening in early June. Low. You're selling low. These trades aren't happening right now, and you cannot nuke your pitching depth. Okay, we already saw what happened. Look at 2021. We've talked about this multiple times in the show. We talked about how Sam Hentges before he was ready, and J.C. Mejia, who was really never ready, really, to start for a major league team. Those guys were forced into action. Go back to 2019. Jeffrey Rodriguez was starting. I mean, Bybee and Allen weren't even supposed to be up at this point in the season, especially not Bybee. Like, we were talking like next month for Bybee, and at best. And yeah, I know there's depth. Like people are saying, well, you got Cantillo and you got, Gaddis's depth, but Battenfield's hurt. And if you move guys like, if you move Quantrill and you're still trying to compete for the playoffs, you're down to your AAA pitching depth being Cantillo, Gaddis, and Williams. And I know everyone's like, well, that's fine. Go with all rookies. Go with Williams. He's really good. That's fine. You can do that, but Aaron Civale is going to get hurt again. Let's be honest. I mean, he probably is going to get hurt again at some point. I guess I forgot Plesac, but do you really want Zach Plesac pitching for this team again? No, you don't. Nobody wants that. That's why he's in AAA. Like the guys that are pitching in AAA right now, besides Cantillo's not ready. Williams probably is, but you don't. It'd be nice to not pull that trigger, I guess you could say. You're already having issues trying to keep guys in rotation anyway with trying to decide who's staying from Bybee and Allen McKenzie being there. And you do not get through the season with with 5 starters or 7 starters. It takes 8 or 9, and there's a lot of season left. And if this team wants to make the playoffs, good Lord, they're going to need all this pitching depth they can get, because the offense is not going to carry them to the playoffs. Like even if the offense does come around, if this is a big if, you are still going to need the pitching to carry this team. And I'm not saying Cal Quantrill should be pitching in a playoff game this year because they have enough depth where they don't have to worry about it right now. But you also got to remember Bybee and Allen don't have all these innings at the major league level built up so far. They have to be. They're going to want to be careful with how they do this, and they'll
probably have extra rest built into their schedule
at some point. Yeah, and you're going to want to have Cal Quantrill there to soak up some of these innings. And the reason he got left out to dry tonight is because the bullpen didn't have it. I mean, Curry had to go 3 on Sunday, and Eli came in. You just didn't have the guys to go that early this time around, and they don't have an off day this week. So the pitching depth matters, and Quantrill is not as bad as he pitched tonight. He's not as good as some of his other starts this year. He is a 5th starter, and no one's making that trade in May or June. And even if you do, it's just the depth is too important. And I know people are going to point at, Williams and Cantillo, whatever, and that's fine. You can go with all rookies. You already have 2 rookies in the rotation. McKenzie, you're going to trade Bieber either this year or next year. I don't know. It's a big risk that people say, well, they should take more risks. Maybe they should take more risks, but I don't think this is the risk to take. But I don't know what they're going to do with this rotation. I really don't know. Yeah. I have no feel for how they're going to.
I'm not going to be shocked by anything with this. Let me put it that way. No matter what call, right. I still think it's likely going to be one of the young guys going down, especially because what do we know about Tito? It's like once you've kind of gone to war with him, you're one of his dudes. Like there's not a lot of teams where Amed would still be playing right now, but he is still, not only is he playing, he's still hitting second. Like Cal is one of his guys. Cal, was flexible in his great season. And I don't think Tito is going to be the one to isn't going to run Cal out. Cal is one of his guys. And I think there's also, something to be said for those guys. He is a veterans manager. He's a players manager, but he is a vets manager. And I think Cal is here to stay. And guys don't like moving to the pen. It is a change in role. You have to readapt your body. You have to readapt your approach, and you're significantly going to earn less money.
And they're going to lose depth if you put them in the bullpen. You also have if you something happens where you have to turn around, you have to stretch him back out. That's an injury waiting to happen. You hope doesn't happen. And I mean, look, the numbers under the hood this year are not good for Cal. Let's be honest about that too. He has not pitched well. I just don't think he's as bad as he's.
But all this, I mean, we got to go to break. But I'm just going to leave this thought. Everyone is playing about 30% worse than a year ago. Everyone.
Yeah. Everybody except for the 2 rookie starters, and they don't really count
because they weren't here a year ago. But everyone is pooping the bed this year across the board. There is not one player on this team where I'm like, he has taken a positive. Honestly, who's taken the positive step forward? Miles Straw, because he's got a 72 runs created plus when a year ago he was at a 40. That is your success story this year. Is Miles Straw. That's how bad things have been.
If that's how good things are, you definitely want to come back and hear more after this.
Yes. Hey, FanDuel. I got it right this time. FanDuel. Right now, all of you new customers get a no sweat first bet up to $2,500. I know they think they're being sly with no sweat first bet, but just makes me mess those words up all the more there. That's why I had to slow it down. you get a $2,500 back bonus in bets if your first bet doesn't win. We were talking 1,000 before. It's 2,500 now. That is a crazy jump. That is the biggest bonus bet we have ever seen from FanDuel, who have been our sponsor since January of this year. So for a decent chunk of time, there's no better place to bet all your playoff action than America's #1 sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and get a no sweat first bet up to $2,500. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA and Major League Baseball. And don't forget to check out tomorrow's game on Sirius XM.
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock, 2 o'clock my time. So I'll be getting to watch maybe the very
Mountain time.
And then
Hawaiian
over
time.
in Hawaii, it's 5 hours behind, so 10 a.m. for all of our Hawaiian listeners.
Little
I've been getting more and more
baseball.
from everydayers out of the country. So if you're an everydayer in Hawaii, let me know.
Jeff, Hawaii is a U.S. state.
Oh, did I phrase that wrong? Yes, no, I know Hawaii is a U.S. state. That was
Really
I'm
out of the
tired.
country, you said Hawaii.
It's no, if you are in Hawaii, which
I'm not good at geography.
which I believe was actually the 50th state, right? There wasn't Alaska, then Hawaii, Arizona,
Didn't they come at the
48.
same time? Didn't Alaska and Hawaii
Same
come at the
year.
same time?
Arizona was the one before that, but yeah, Hawaii. If you're from Hawaii, let us know. If you're a Joey Cantillo family member, please talk to him to come on the show. But
there was a joke at Lake County because they have Alaska Avenue, the reliever there.
mhm.
And the last 2 years, because he's still there, we've been joking about Alaska has a twin brother named Hawaii.
Hawaii.
But yeah,
No, it'd be good. Every day or Envar Hoxha, pronounced correctly. I don't think I pronounced it correctly, but he is a European. We're getting a lot of European listeners, so thank you to our European listeners who miss out on the joy of watching the games live because they're asleep and then just listen to our show. So we appreciate those European listeners that we are having some fun with. They use us instead of the game because the games aren't worth watching right now. That's what many of them are DMing me to say.
Fair. Wow, that's totally fair too. I mean, we are watching the games so we can do this so we don't get fined. That's kind of where we're at. I mean, we were. I feel like we weren't like super positive yesterday. We both kept saying like, okay, we want to see more, and they didn't follow it up with more today. The offense was better. I mean,
it was legitimate. Like I said, everyone but Steven Kwan got a hit. Everyone reached base twice except for Kwan and Jose Ramirez and Zunino.
Kwan.
It was not a good night for Kwan.
He had a couple long at bats. That was about.
He entered the day at a 699 OPS and it dropped 16 points with those 5 at bats today.
Yeah, because his entire OPS is inflated by his OBP.
Yeah.
Because there's no.
So when that drops, he drops.
Jose is below 800 now.
Yes, he dropped below 800 with this one, which means they now have no one over 800, and he's the only one over 700.
Yeah, it's not great. I mean, Josh Naylor, you want to look at silver linings. Josh Naylor had smoked a 2-run single off a lefty. That was good.
Josh Naylor's weighted runs created plus is the same as, and again, people ask, weighted runs created plus takes everything, says 100 is average, weights it all out, so it's just nice. So if a guy's at a 70, it means he's 30% below league average, a 130, 30% above league average. Naylor is tied with Gabby Arias and just a smidge above Miles Straw. So.
Yeah, everybody has just done bad at the same time. Like Josh Bell's hit today. It wasn't great. It was a blooper, but it got a run in. Jimenez had a nice double there in the game. Will Brennan back-to-back days with multi-hits, although Will Brennan had some adventures in the outfield tonight on this game. And it wasn't pretty. I think it just snowballed on him after that first mistake. I feel like it got into his head. It was bad. That was about as bad defense I've ever seen him play. So hopefully that was just a bad day for him.
So Naylor has now moved past Kwan to be second on the team in OPS at 692.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, there have been some positive signs of development for the offense in certain areas. I mean, Jose, you saw how frustrated he got that fly ball to center field that wouldn't have scored Zunino because it was too short. He had a good opportunity there and it didn't come through. He's frustrated. I mean, for this offense to win, to do good, they need Jose to be an MVP candidate. And they need to run the bases like their hair's on fire.
And the crazy thing with Jose too, it's like, for Mr. like, he's not a great athlete. We know that, but he is so smart, so intelligent. He is only, he's 5 stolen bases, 3 caught stealing. Like it's even little things like that, which is that just age starting to catch up with him as he hits his 30s. But yeah, I mean, literally this whole team is 30 to 40% worse than a year ago outside of Straw, and Straw still isn't good. Let me clarify that. Straw is still not good. He's just better than last year where he was the worst hitter.
Just wild. Like, and that's the thing. Like last year, your second best hitter was Andres Gimenez. This year, he has been terrible, and
he's only beating Amed and Straw in terms of OPS.
Yeah, if you don't have that,
and Brennan,
like that's the whole thing. Like if you want to, everyone's like, you got to replace Rosario and Zunino, and that's fine. I'm not saying this isn't a reason to do it, but replacing those two guys isn't going to turn this around. Quan, I know you took a lot of flack for it early in the year, but Quan has not been as good as he was a year ago. Naylor has somehow continued to underperform his metrics, which I still feel like those are going to get straightened out. He's had yesterday's game, I should say.
His chase rate is worse.
Yeah, and Monday.
That's the thing. He's chasing more, and I think that's
offsetting it. Yeah, I could see that. But if Jimenez doesn't get it turned around, if Rosario, you're replacing Rosario, but if Jimenez doesn't get a turnaround and Jose doesn't play like an MVP candidate, Naylor doesn't start performing up to expectations, and Josh Bell doesn't start doing what you signed him to do, that doesn't matter. I'm not saying that's not a reason to not replace Rosario and Naylor, because I think or Rosario and Zunino. You should still do it if it's going to improve the offense and at least improve your shortstop defense. I don't know about catcher, but it's not going to fix this team either. Like I said, Ramirez has to be an MVP candidate for this offense to be good. Josh Bell is not who we want him to be, as bad as Jose Abreu has been. And Andres Gimenez has to go back to being the second best hitter on this team somehow, and not just because more guys are starting to fail. So those things aren't going to fix the team. We got one Amed Rosario stat we want to get to.
Yeah, I think we'll say that for segment 3.
And we'll talk about the rotation a little more as well.
Okay, before we go, I just want to throw this out there. If you get a chance, go look up Brian Rocchio's play from shortstop over into second base. The Athletic posted the video of it. If you had missed it, he somehow brings the shift back. So let's throw something positive. Amazing range for Rocchio. You can find it on the Columbus Clippers Twitter as well.
Twitter. $3:00 on Wednesday, Baltimore and Cleveland. Search for the game on your Sirius XM app to hear Tom Hamilton and Jim Rosenhaus on the call. Who's pitching on Wednesday, Jeff?
Isn't it Bieber?
Is it Bieber again?
Versus Voth.
Austin Voth. Okay.
Austin Voth versus Shane Bieber, I believe.
You would think that would be a good matchup, but
Austin Voth is not good.
He's not.
I liked him coming out of. Was he a Samford guy? Maybe. I think I liked him coming out of school.
When he was at the Nationals, I liked him quite a bit. Yeah, he just hasn't been. Have they announced that it's a starter yet? Because right now MLB says TBA. So.
Oh, I mean, I was just going off of projections, which I could be wrong on.
It has not
because he's replacing Grayson Rodriguez, who was not.
He was struggling. I have multiple shares of him in fantasy, and he's been pretty awful outside of the strikeouts. So maybe Cleveland caught a break missing him, because he probably would have turned his whole season around against Cleveland. So I'm not sure why Baltimore didn't give him one more chance.
Austin Voth's 26 innings are not bad this year.
Great. So he'll have 5 shutout innings on Wednesday, and that's good. Amed Rosario. So this is a stat
things that are bad.
This is a stat we wanted to get to on Tuesday, and we did not. So Jay Jaffe of Fangraphs, as Jeff has been saying for a couple weeks now, every stat that explains why Trey Turner is struggling right now also happens to include Amed Rosario doing the same terrible things. So on May 26th, which was Friday, Jay Jaffe had tweeted that who has the lowest run values against pitch types, and basically run value is it's negative or positive. You either are good against the pitcher or not. So if you have a positive run value against a certain pitch, that means you are excelling at hitting the certain pitch. If you have a negative run value, you are producing at a below average rate against the pitch, which means you stink against it. So Trey Turner, negative 11 run value against the four-seam fastball. He is hitting $150 off of it, and he is swinging and missing at the fastball 28% of the time almost. It's a list of a bunch of players, and Trey Turner has the worst run value of any pitch against this year through May 24th. And unfortunately, Amed Rosario is on this list, not once, but twice. He is on here for having the worst run value against the slider, which is -8. He is whiffing at the sliders almost 35% of the time, hitting .216. And he is also on there for four-seam fastballs. He is at -7 run value, whiffing 24.5% of the time and hitting 140 against the fastballs. The good news is I don't think there are any pitchers who throw sliders and four seams, right? That's not a thing, right? Oh, wait, never mind. Francisco Lindor, for what it's worth, is also on here against sliders. And I'll even be fair, because I know people get mad at us about our Sean Murphy love. Sean Murphy, for somehow, this is amazing, because usually guys crush sinkers. That's usually a bad pitch now. Sean Murphy is in a -8 against sinkers, but he is absolutely hitting the living daylights out of every other pitch besides sinkers, whereas Amed Rosario, not so much. So, yeah. If only those pitchers wouldn't throw him fastballs and sliders, and that would be great, right?
It's and we go back to my stat and, and the fact that his strikeout percentage is double a year ago. He's cooked right now. Like, he is cooked.
Yeah.
And yeah, he reached base twice today, one of them being by a walk. His walk rate is up, but you can't be the worst defensive shortstop in baseball by one advanced metric and be a mediocre hitter. And like, he's gotten, his range is very limited. He actually gets to a lot of the ones in his limited range, but he's not a guy who has a lot of, side to side movement. It's the time has come and gone. Like, I know you say it's not going to be a fix it, and it's not a fix it, but this is a bad team. This is not a team that's going to make the postseason, in my opinion. Maybe they'll prove me wrong, and you guys can all come back and laugh at me, and I'll gladly take it. But it's time to see if Gabby Arias can handle that position with, again, Rocchio just batting down the door, ready to come along. It's kind of time to take those reps away from the guy who is not part of this team's future. And that's just my opinion. That's my...
He's not, no. And that's the problem. And they're trying to do everything they can to win this year. And I guess they feel like...
Stop trying to make Amed happen.
They feel like, for whatever reason, Amed, like, even the best version of Amed, I don't think is going to make this team any better, because he's a league average hitter. This team is not a league, like,
he should hit ninth on a good team. This
team isn't a league average hitter away from turning it around. Like, if they were only a league average hitter away from turning it around, we would all be doing backflips out right now, because that would be great. That would mean this thing's going great. They're not a league average hitter from turning this thing around. So Amed rebounding isn't going to fix it. So no matter how long you stick with Amed and say, well, to get where we're going, to get where we want to go, we're going to need Amed. Like they used to do with Brian Shaw. It used to be, to get where we want to go, we need him to be the best version of himself. And yeah, for Brian Shaw, that was true, because Brian Shaw at least was an above league average reliever. Amed Rosario is a league average player. This team is not, and he's not playing like a league average player. But here's the thing, even Amed gets better, this team is not turning it around. And you might say, well, maybe there's a ripple effect or a snowball effect. If Amed starts going, then the rest of the team will start going. Because Bieber did have that comment saying, we go as Amed goes. That's terrifying, truthfully, to me. That was a month ago, I think.
I would argue Amed never really goes. He's just kind of there.
I mean, he does run fast, so there is that. But
he has
really,
some
it's been
positive
running fast right back to the dugout.
I feel like this team goes. What we've seen is, it's.
And really,
it's
there's
the fact
no
that
reason.
Everyone is 30% worse than a year ago.
Yeah, everybody is. Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's not on replacing Rosario and Zunino in this team. Like, you can't ask Bo Naylor to come up here and Brian Rocchio to come up here. Like, okay, it's fixed. It's on you guys. Turn this thing around. Like, it was unfair to ask Bybee and Allen, I guess, to do it with the rotation, and they kind of have, because the rotation was pretty bad before they got up here.
Logan Allen has the same WAR as Shane Bieber right now. Tanner Bybee is a 10th off of them.
The best pitcher on this team is not named Shane right now. I'm just going to be honest with you.
I'm going to throw out what I said to you earlier. Shane Bieber's FIP is a 403. He is a plus Josh Tomlin right now. Like, he is not striking. He's striking out guys at the same rate Josh Tomlin did, walking them at the same rate, giving up home runs at about the same rate. His hit rate is a bit lower, so that's what makes him better. But like, when we sit there and I see people trying to convince me that, like, oh, we can get Nolan Gorman for him. No, you can't. Can we get on Andy Pages for him? No. Like, Shane Bieber's value.
Andy Pages is going to be up sometime this year.
Yes, he's going to. The Dodgers need outfielders anyways.
Or
like,
DH. Yeah.
He has regressed 3 years in a row. He has a year and a half of control, and right now this team has no all-star candidate. They'll be the Mercy all-star. It's going to be like in my youth, the Ron Coomer all-star, like
that's
the guy who doesn't deserve
to
be there.
One of the two rookie pitchers deserves to be an all-star right
Okay, fair enough. Those are the only guys who are really at that level. No one else is top of their position.
And Yel De Los Santos, not an all-star?
No. I love Eniel.
Sam Hatch just put himself in a hot bucket of water on Tuesday, and he pitched himself out of it, so he's good at that.
This is true. But like this team just does not have a lot it's flashing well. And like I said, when Justin's out, if I'm going to do a Shane Bieber focus show for one of those off days and just look at what's out there. But I do think, I talked with Willie, who I'll recommend again, go follow Willie Hood if you want more Guardians draft takes, friend of both of ours, at least Twitter friend for me. We talked, his returns probably somewhere between Castilla and Tyler Mahle of a year ago. Like it's not going to be.
I don't think it's anywhere near Castillo.
No, it's between those two and probably closer to Mahle than Castilla. But yeah, it's 3 years of regressive data, and the noise on the outside is not good. And teams value K rate, and you can't have a K rate under 7 and get much. So it's going to be a wet. I'm a total wet blanket across the board today. Sorry, everyone.
I know. I mean, if they what are they 3 back, 3.5? I didn't look what the Twins did, but I think it's still.
I'm not gonna scoreboard watch until this team isn't bad. Like I mean, again, they're looking up at the Tigers first. Like
I know
this is a bad team.
Yeah,
across the board. Everyone, I don't know if Jose hasn't recovered from his injury. I don't know if everyone else read their press clippings and didn't work as hard this offseason. I don't know if more data came through and it made it easier. It sure looks like a few of them are pressing seriously, but they're bad. And everyone, is it on the players? Is it on the coaching? Is it a mix of both? I don't know. But right now it is. I've never seen this in my life where a team where everyone is 30% worse than a year ago. It's like. Yeah, I don't know.
I would argue, and I wasn't alive to see this, but from what I've read and what I've looked up in the past, it's kind of like the 70s and 80s where...
Was it the 88 team that ended really strong?
You had the Sports Illustrated cover and all that stuff, but no, they'd have good pitching one year and no hitting, and they'd trade the pitching for the hitting, and the next year they had good hitting and no pitching, so they'd fluctuate every year, and right now, the pitching is still... good. I know we were having a debate off air, which we'll try to have on air at some point this week, but the hitters, again, like I said, Josh Bell just isn't who everybody wanted him to be. And, Josh Naylor is great against righties, but he stinks this year, or he's underperforming his metrics. Rosario is never panned out.
His chase rate is up
I feel
20%.
I feel like that's not enough to offset what he's doing, putting the ball in play. I feel like there's just because you're chasing more, when you're putting the ball in play, you're still getting unlucky. And I still don't know if X stats.
But if you're chasing, then you're also not making as great of contact, right? Because isn't his some of his barrel data is down too.
That doesn't affect what he did on the balls he put in play. So the X stats are just.
But the X stats would then be a reflection of when he does put the ball in play. No, it says barrel rate's fine. When he makes contact, it's great, but he's just the chase rate,
right? And the batted ball data when he puts the ball in play still says he's getting unlucky. So you take that out of the equation. Yeah, he's chasing more. Jimenez looks more like the player he did in 2021. Tuesday night notwithstanding. Will Brennan has never. I mean, the last 2 games have been better as well for him, but he has never looked as bad in the minors. And a lot of these guys are just getting figured out at the major league level, and you're expecting MVP level production from Jose Ramirez, and you're not getting it. No. For whatever reason.
He's not even giving you all-star level production right now.
No, he might just be their all-star because
he's got he will be, but now he's a 55. This is a guy who's been
your best shot at a real all-star right now are Allen and Bivey. That's crazy, yeah. So all right, well, more fun on Wednesday. We don't have an off day this week, so I don't know when our next chance. Looks like June 5th will be our next chance to get to a Around the Farm and draft segment after this Minnesota series that's coming up. 4 games set in Minnesota. My God. So Aaron Civale is going to pitch Friday in Minnesota. That's already been announced. So that would have been Hunter Gaddis' start. Hunter Gaddis is going to the bullpen for the time being. We'll see what happens. Well, I think he'll go down. I think they were saying he's going to be in the bullpen until he goes down.
Oh, for this week. Okay.
Yeah. So they were just saying he could have been available. They don't know if he was going to be available tonight. So I think you'll have him in the bullpen on Wednesday and Thursday. And then Friday he goes back to AAA. McKenzie only made it through 3 innings of his start on Tuesday because of rain. He only threw 43 pitches. So I don't know how that's going to affect him. I know everybody was saying, he's lined up on Quantrill's night. They didn't line up on Quantrill's night because they're replacing Quantrill. Like, if you think they made this decision based on tonight's game, then I don't know what to tell you. But I don't know. I mean, so Quantrill's next start would be Sunday at Minnesota. I don't know if McKenzie pitching 43 pitches on Tuesday has him stretched out enough to go. I mean, he'd have to go get some side work done. I don't know. So that rotation spot comes up again on Sunday the 4th. Maybe they can piggyback Quantrill and McKenzie for a start and kick the can down the road. You send 99 down, you send Gaddis down, and you kick. Although you got to make a 40-man roster spot. Either put Peyton Battenfield on the 60 if he's not coming back anytime soon, or Jose Tina's the guy out. That's all I could think of.
I mean, Tina, the bell tolls. One of the interesting things I'll say for Naylor is his out of the zone swing is up 5%, which is not insignificant this year. Which is why we see that chase rate. And his first pitch swing is up as well. I'm kind of curious to see if he's not pulling as much. I also think it's very interesting. His no doubt home run percentage, now it's early and he doesn't have a ton. Last year it was 9%. This year it's 42. So he's not getting, it's either he's murdering it or he's not getting it out.
For what it's worth, the Guardians did just send out there, and this is, we're recording this at 10:52 on Eastern on Tuesday. The Guardians sent out their next 5 days, 4 days of rotations. And they didn't go as far as the 4th. So I guess that tells you they haven't decided yet. Although they don't have a starter listed for Friday either, which I guess it's going to be Civale. So I guess they're playing it safe because I don't know, maybe Aaron Civale gets her on the flight to Minnesota for all we know. So
very likely.
They don't have Friday or Sunday listed yet on their rotation plan. So we'll see.
Yeah. No, definitely for sure. We're going long, so let's cut this off. I want to thank you again for making Locked On Guardians your first listen today and every day, wherever it is you get podcasts. Remember to download daily and all that jive. Thank you for watching, and go Guardians go.